Hi, welcome to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. I'm the head coach, Josh Robinson, and we're here to talk about our win over the Darlington Tigers with a total of 21-17. Second week in a row, we got out to a slow start, honestly. Defensively, most people look at the offense because the points are on the board or not on the board or whatever the case may be. That's easy. But as a defensive guy, even though it was 10-7 at halftime, we probably played our worst quarter of football in the first quarter defensively. But we were able to fix those mistakes, and we made a big play. We had some good moments. And from a defensive standpoint, the fact that we started rolling after that, we really did a good job of turning the bad into really good. We actually ended up minus one more drive. And Darlington made some good plays. They have good players. But they had one more drive. But beyond that, we really played an excellent football game. And then offensively, we were slow starting again, but we were able to find a way to score points in the second half. We moved the ball. There was a couple of possessions. We'll see it when we do the highlights. We got pinned down deep at the 2, but we were able to move it to the around the 45, 46-yard line and punt from there as opposed to our own 2. So the offense, even if they don't score, still did some really good things to help us go to a victory there. We ended up winning the football game, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But we do have to find a way to get going a little faster. Let's talk about the stats with Gavin Knuckles at quarterback again. He was 24 for 31 for 161 yards. Really efficient night for Gavin as far as completion percentages go. There's a couple of plays where he did a good job of extending it and making a good play with his feet. So overall, a good solid night for Gavin. He also had 10 rushes for 48 yards. Continues to scramble and put pressure on the defense, and then some design runs as well. Did a really good job for us, and he's only going to get better. He's just a sophomore, really good football player. Cameron Collins came in with another good, strong football game for us with 12 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown. And I know that's not a high yards per carry. The couple of times they were blitzing into what we had called, and he made a good cut just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Then he had a couple of really good runs. So overall, we're glad to see Cameron come on and kind of establish himself as the number 1 back. But our number 2 back is Jacob Lee, who's a sophomore, who's not far behind Cameron. He did some really good things, had one of the best runs we've had in a few years here with 5 carries for 39 yards and a touchdown, really. And his touchdown run was, I'm going to guess, 15 to 20 yards. Actually ran over a couple of people. And Darlington is not as big as they were up front last year, but from their linebackers, secondary, wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, they're all pretty big for high school football players and pretty talented. These guys come from everywhere in a private school situation, and Coach Groves does a great job of coaching those guys. So overall, it was a really good play for Jacob and a really good night for us on the ground as we picked up almost 130 yards. Receiving-wise, Austin Cooley had his biggest game of the year with 8 catches for 68 yards. This is one of those things I'm going to brag on Austin and kind of talk about our offense a little bit. Austin is I think last week, I'm going off my memory, I believe he only had 1 catch, and then he comes in with 8 this particular week with a couple of really big, difficult ones that he made, and we're super proud of him. But again, we're going to talk about Hudson. He's, for the first time I think all year, he's down the list in receptions and yardage. They're devoting 2 or 3 people to him. It really opens our offense up for the other guys, and we're going to do some things and try to work on getting him open, but they really were putting a lot of their concentration on Hudson, and despite when we get there, his lack of stats, he really served a great purpose for us on the offensive side of the ball. And then Isaiah Foster was able to capitalize with more catches for him, 6 catches, 47 yards, had a couple of explosive play opportunities where he was able to catch the ball down the field. We didn't quite throw them because of protection or other things that affect the play. But Isaiah's coming along. He's maturing. He's doing a really good job for us. And actually, him and Hudson, I'm going to brag on them on defense here in a little bit because of some injuries we had. Those guys played outstanding. Kendrick Douglas, again, I maybe had 7, 8 catches last week or a couple of weeks ago. Here he only had 4 catches, a couple of them big catches, but had 23 yards. So continues to be a consistent force for us. And then Cameron Collins, not only is he running the ball better, but he's also catching passes for us. He had 3 catches for 11 yards. I think 1 catch was only for 1 yard, so he had a couple of 5-yard gainers there, and that's really good. And then Jacob Lee, our running back, had a catch for 3 yards. And then Hudson Gray had 2 catches for 9 yards. We definitely want to get him more touches than that. He had a big explosive play that got called back because of a penalty, but a really good player and was able to affect the game in other ways for us. At this time, let's take a look at the first half highlights. Here we are entering the field. You know, these are the kind of moments that young men will remember for a long time, and we get a good throw to start the game as good protection up front, and Gavin delivers a good ball there. Hudson bobbles it a little bit, was able to pick up a big gain for us and a first down. We ended up punting. They're running the inverted veer here, and Miles Mays pursuing from the back. A lot of people have started trying to emulate the Ringo play that kind of gave us some issues. We got an illegal block on the player there. They were trying to throw a screen. Caden Ramsey gets in the way, and they end up with a sack, but they ended up scoring. Next play, we didn't do a good job on third downs as a third and long as a defense, but we improved dramatically as the game went. Here's a great rush by Gavin as he dives forward and picks up close to a first down. We ended up punting there, and Miles and a slew of Bruins in on the tackle, and there you can see kind of the play. Here's a great play by Miles as he hustles out. We're kind of in some different coverages there to create a little bit of a gap. Miles does a great job of being a great player. Here you can see basically our whole defense in it. Good slant by our guys. Lucas had missed a couple of plays, not done so well, and here, this is one of the things, fights off a block, off an older guy, strong guy, does a good job. Here he fights outside and ends up missing the tackle, but we got Chance coming up who misses a tackle as well, but then Cade Parker comes on, gets a tackle there on the goal line. They have to attempt the field goal and end up making them miss, and that's a huge play because at this point it's 7-0. You know, a lot of things aren't going right, and our guys found a way to get a stop. We end up punting. They recover it there. Caden Ramsey times his jump, lands in Miles' hand, who he catches, and then a great block by Caden. Great effort by those 2 young men. Good coverage by our secondary as well, or they would have been open, and that wouldn't have had a chance to happen. Great job by J.J. Plaza of getting that through. Most people will forget about that play. The ball kind of fell off the block there and ended up clearing it. And there we have Dominique Johnson and I believe Caden Ramsey in on it. Here's another tackle for a loss, a sack for Caden Ramsey against Darlington. They end up picking up a first down. Here Caden does a good job of really playing the quarterback and the running back as they run the inverted veer, and then they throw one across the middle. Good coverage by Cade. He's a great tackler, and he's good in coverage, and he's only getting better. There's a big play most people wouldn't recognize as the running back wheels out, and Sam Crossan is there, came in and one of his first plays, and he covers the back out of the backfield. That could have been a touchdown. We get pressure, and they end up throwing an incompletion. Here, tough bounce, good job by Hudson getting back on it. That turf is just something, you know, that, again, if you hadn't played a lot of games on it, you don't realize. Here's a good, tough run by Austin Cooley as he gets us out of that deep down at the 2, and Gavin avoids pressure right here and is able to turn a second down what looks like a sack into a 6-yard gain. That's something that will cause defensive coordinators a nightmare for sure. Big run by Gavin on the option here, and we throw the out to Cooley again. One of those instances where they're dropping deep. We end up having to punt, and again, you know, a lot of people will be, well, what's wrong with the offense? Well, nothing was wrong in that possession. For sure, we got out of a hole. There's a big rush by Miles Mays and a great play right here. I believe that's Chance Whitfield knocking that loose, who had a pass breakup as well. This play particularly gave us some issues just because we missed tackles, but Tony Bernecki and Lucas Amos got out there on that one, and that was really the first time we'd slowed it down significantly, and Isaiah Foster's back deep now, makes a couple of people miss. As he gets a good return back to the 30. They end up calling a penalty for a block in the back on us, and we get the ball back near midfield. It's now Jacob Lee's possession to come in as we run. We're looking deep, trying to look at Hudson there, but again, they've got him double covered. We throw it out to Isaiah as he picks up about 5 or 6 yards, turns it into something positive for us. We go for it on fourth down right there on that possession, don't get it. There we have Miles Mays, Dominic Johnson, Dawson Whitmore. Here they're holding us a little bit. We missed some tackles. And a lot of people ooh and ah, that, that's a good run by that young man. But at the end of the day, Cade Parker got him on the ground. That's all that matters. And then the quarterback running away from Miles Mays, and there we get a horse collar called on us, even though our hand was on front and both hands were in the throwing action. Great coverage and a pass breakup by Hudson Gray, who ends up preventing them from getting a touchdown, makes them kick a field goal so that the Bruins are only trailing at 10-7 at halftime. At this time, let's take a break. Welcome back to the Bruin Football Show. Let's talk about defense. We talked about our early struggles and the ability to turn it around. I thought our guys made some mental errors that we haven't made. Although we'd like to play a perfect game, the ability to show them on film, okay, here's the errors we make. We made these things between our ears, but we continued to play, and we turned around and really had a good defensive night against a very talented team. And we're able to limit them to a couple of field goals on good possessions that they had executed, but we missed a lot of tackles. They have a really good running back. I think he's a really high scoring basketball player too, so he's really athletic, and he made us miss a few times. But overall, we can use this to build going forward. We definitely don't want to start slow in region play, as it's coming up in a couple of weeks after this off week. And we're able to show our guys, and they're going to get better and continue to play hard and run to the football. On the defensive line, Miles Mays had another unbelievable night. He had 10 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss, 3 quarterback pressures, and then the rarity for a defensive lineman, he had an interception and a defensive touchdown. Getting an interception there is very rare. Caden Ramsey tipped the ball. We'll see it in the highlights. But then he also fell to him. A lot of times those balls are dropped, but he's such a good football player. He fielded that. Caden went and threw a great block for him and ended up getting in the end zone. Avery O'Neal had a very good night for us. Avery's overcame a couple of injuries here. Thankful for the off week to get him better, because he's such an important part to our team and our defense. He ended the night with 7 tackles and quarterback pressure. And then Adrian Madrigal had 4 tackles and 2 tackles for a loss for us. Overcame a tweaked ankle, a bum shoulder during the game. And again, the off week comes at kind of the right time. We play a couple weeks before we're off again. Did a really good job. And then Tony Bernecki, I'm going to take a minute to talk about him. He came on when Adrian got hurt and ended up with 4 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and 2 quarterback pressures. Tony is a guy that kind of, and I'm going to talk about Sam Cross in a minute too. Tony may be the best special teams player we've ever had. He's phenomenal. He's around the ball. He makes some tackles. There was one tackle that Darlington tried to return straight ahead. He ran over 2 guys and made the tackle on the sideline. He's a wrestler, a very good wrestler. Was playing linebacker for us, and we were going to keep him there as he played D-line, and our plan was playing at both. But he's done so well and been so important to the defensive line, we really can't take him away from there. So just a really good night by him. And then Will C. came on with a tackle and a quarterback pressure. I know one tackle and a quarterback pressure. That doesn't sound like much, but as we'll see, a senior for us, it was his best game of the year. We're very proud of him and the efforts that he gives each and every week, and being able to get in there and produce is really nice. Then at linebacker, Dawson Whitmore turned in another good night. He's fighting a high ankle sprain, and if you don't follow sports, high ankle sprains are much worse than low ones and make your mobility a lot worse. So again, another guy that the off week's going to help. He ended up with 7 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a sack on the night for us. Dominique Johnson, our other inside linebacker, didn't have as many tackles this particular game because our D-line played so well and was able to consume most of those tackles, and they were running a lot of perimeter stuff. Still manned the middle very well for us and ended up with 3 tackles. Then Caden Ramsey and Lucas Amos and Sam Crossan all played our outside linebacker snaps, and all of them combined to miss more tackles than we want. Some of Darlington's biggest plays were when our guys kind of miss tackles, but that's kind of what happens when you get against a really good back and that makes some moves, and we're going to face more. You know, Sonorville has one this coming week, really a couple. And then down the road, we can go through each team, and they're going to have really good players, especially, I guess, the highly recruited running back we'll see is a sophomore out of Central Carroll that has multiple offers. So this kind of, you know, that's the idea, is you use these games to prepare for that, and I'm sure our guys are going to correct it as we go. But Caden Ramsey still turned in a magnificent night. He's so productive. He's so physical and big out there, and is playing harder and harder. Again, I've said this every week. I'm going to say it again. He's learning to, he's a linebacker, but he's learning to play a new linebacker position, and there's certain things that you have to do in our defense between inside and out. Side, and he was inside last year, now playing outside. He ended up with 10 tackles, a pressure, 3 tackles for a loss, a pass broken up. He also caused an interception, the one that Miles Mays returned for a touchdown. Lucas Amos had 6 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and 2 pressures. Really good stats, but he started really slow. Again, I think the sophomore thing where he's probably never grown up in the middle school tackling people of the Darlington running backs category, but he adjusted as the game went. Almost all of his missed tackles were early, and he played really good at the end, so he's really focused and ready for a new week to improve. And then Sam Crossan ended up with a tackle and a pressure, and here I'm going to talk about Sam. Sam, again, tackling pressure. A lot of people would say, what's the big deal? Sam is doing everything for us. He's now snapping on deep and short snaps. He plays every special teams. He starts at tight end, and he plays between 10 and 20 reps at linebacker. He's a jack of all trades. And for a football team to be great, and I'm not saying we're great, but I think we could be really good and be a great team, you got to have guys like Tony Bernecki and Sam Crossan. We're so thankful to have those guys on our football team producing as they are. Raven Foster, defensive back for us, only had 3 tackles. One of the reasons is he got hurt early, tried to tough through it, and we appreciate that. But then being the true team player he is, he told us, he said, Coach, I want to go, but I'm just hobbled. I think I'm going to hurt the team, and that takes a lot of maturity. He's kind of our vocal leader back there and does a good job, and we certainly missed him and hope for a speedy recovery. We believe we're going to get him back towards the end of the week at practice. We'll ease him back in, hopefully have him ready for Sonorville again. Cade Parker, a sophomore for us at safety. In my 21 years, I never remember a safety having more than 14 tackles. I think Spencer Bragg and Nate Woodison had 14 at different times their senior year. Cade Parker came in with the 16 tackles, and he only missed 1 on the night. And I usually don't talk about missed tackles individually, but he was putting numerous opportunities where if he misses a tackle, it goes for a 30, 40-yard gain or maybe even a touchdown. And he got 16 out of the 17. The one he missed was up in the line of scrimmage where he was kind of involved in a tunnel screen. Played wonderful. Cade is doing really good. He's a sophomore, first-year varsity player. To go out there and do this and be a sure tackler as he is, it's unbelievable. Here I'm going to talk about Hudson Gray and Isaiah Foster. We'll talk about Isaiah's stats in a moment. But Hudson had 3 tackles. That doesn't sound like much. He came in and played safety when Raven got hurt and played his best defensive football game for us. Great players impact the game in more than just one way. He only had a couple of catches on offense. I'm sure he would want more. But instead of being pouty, having a bad attitude, typical Hudson Gray work ethic and care about our team. He came over and really focused on what we were doing, because Darlington's best player, well, they have a couple, but one of their best players is the wide receiver, who's very slippery, and he covered him all night. And once we kind of put him on there, he did a really good job of limiting him. And, we're so appreciative to have Hudson on our team and his effort, and just ended up with a really good night for us. So important to what we do here at Northwest Football. Hank Harrison came back on. He got more plays this week, did a good job. He continues to be very effective on special teams. He's another one of those guys that's playing special teams very well. And got more defensive stats. He's a first-year senior. He hadn't played football ever in high school, and he came out and he's contributing to the team, so that's wonderful. Isaiah Foster came on with a tackle as well. We had to ask him, as Chance got hurt a little bit. We're going to talk about Chance Whitfield, but he came back and came in and really had his best game for us this year on defense. So Isaiah was an important factor pulling those guys over, and I know they're tired and have to run all over the field covering people and running their routes, and we're appreciative for them and their effort. And then Chance Whitfield got a bad stinger early, missed a tackle early, and again, I don't talk about the bad things, but I mentioned that because he came back and finished really strong. He played the screen very well and ended up with a very productive night. In a night where he was injured, probably the first time he's been injured playing football since he's been at Northwest, and he fought through it and was able to make tackles for us, and we're thankful to have him. At this time, let's take a look at the second half highlights. So we start the second half, really big possession. Darlington starts out with the ball, and we end up having good coverage. Lucas Amos with a sack. Miles Mays plays the particular play. They're running very well. Here, Lucas does a good job of fitting outside, and our guys flow, and there's one of Cade Parker's sideline tackles. We end up slanting inside, and Caden Ramsey ends up getting in, making a big play. Tony Bernecki with some penetration to make him cut where he didn't want to. Another really good tackle there by Avery O'Neal and Dawson Whitmore, who, again's playing hurt, and Caden plays that play so well. He ends up making the quarterback fumble as he couldn't make his mind up what he wanted to do. Good tackle on the perimeter here. I believe that is Chance and Caden Ramsey as they're trying to throw the screen that they'd had a lot of success with. Good coverage, good drop by Lucas to get in the way. Good coverage by Cade Parker there. Tony Bernecki giving max effort, getting in the punter's way. And here we got a return opportunity as Isaiah's coming, and they kind of push us as they get up here. But regardless, we go on, and Gavin extends the play, does a good job. Good protection by our O-line. Gavin could probably sit in that pocket a little bit longer. They did such a good job. Great run by Cameron Collins as he puts his head down, is able to gain some yards. Good cut by him as we go forward. This is a big possession in the game. We needed to at least flip field position there. We have the curl open to Cooley there, and he gets across the field inside the 25, and then we have a really big run here out of Jacob Lee as he kind of gives a couple guys a tough shoulder sandwich as he runs to the end zone and ends up giving the Bruins, after J.J. Plaza's kick, Sam Crossan's snap, and Austin Cooley's hold, 14-10 lead. There we're trying to throw the ball deep to Hudson. They did a good job of putting somebody underneath and over top of him, and Gavin smart and wisely pulls the ball down, scrambles for the first down, and we're trying to move as fast as we can at this point. Good cut by Cameron, good job by our O-line. Cade Combs and Ethan Hooker and Logan Klein played left guard. Zach Riding, sophomore, playing center. Our right guard is junior Andrew Welch, and then our right tackle is the junior Bryant Stanley. There's a good smart pitch by Andrew, or not Andrew, that's his dad, by Gavin on the play, and we get a screen out on the perimeter, and Isaiah picks up some tough yards for us, and Gavin drops back again and hits Cooley down the field. They had some holding. They were holding our jerseys, especially Isaiah and Hudson every week have to fight off people of holding them there. They're dropping so deep underneath and don't want Hudson to beat them deep. At least kink in with a wide open big gain. Good cut right there by Jacob Lee as he steps up. Pretty good protection by Cameron Collins. That's a lost art for running backs that's important only to the coaches. No one else really recognized those things. And then we're looking for the swing route, and Gavin does a great job of coming back through his progression and hits Kendrick down to the goal line, and then Cameron Collins dives in and ends up picking up a touchdown for us as we go ahead. 24-10 at the time, and then they're driving here, getting down the field. Actually, no, they were up 17-14, so now it's 21-17. Big stop for our defense as we end up making them punt. Good job. We got to get away from that one a little bit faster there. But a good punt by them as we change possessions over to the 16. And then Gavin drops back and delivers the strike to Isaiah, and he makes some people miss. Really physical runner. Isaiah has some good lean and is strong. Ends up getting down the field. Again, they're dropping multiple people over top of Isaiah and Hudson, and we throw it underneath for a big gain as we throw it here. Same kind of deal to Cameron Collins. Those guys commanding that attention really helps our entire defense. And then a really good play here. I believe that was Dawson Whitmore on a blitz. There, very good stiff arm by that young man, but a good play by Caden. Like for him to make the tackle, of course, but he ends up making him bounce, and as he bounces out, it ends up making him run wide. There's a huge play by Kyle Cummins, our freshman who came in and contributed very good. We didn't mention him with the tackles, but he had 2 tackles on the night and came in as a young secondary guy, him and Walker Jones, who also contributed, as well as Hudson and Isaiah. And here we're trying to run the clock out. Our offense does a good job of, I believe, spending 4.5 of the 7 minutes that are left. Tough tackle. I'm glad Cooley's okay there. Good ball by Gavin. Good cut by Jacob Lee as he knows to just get forward and try to gain those yards. And then we come back. Big play by Hudson Gray. Again, great players find a way to affect the game in multiple ways, and he is a great player and did a good job for us. Lucas has to fight outside, but a really good job of Cade Parker coming downhill as their number 2 receiver was blocking. They're trying to throw it deep. Cade has him covered, and then you see Caden and Miles converging on the quarterback, making his life difficult as we wind the end of the game. Pressure provided. We missed too many tackles. Isaiah came out of coverage a little bit, but jumps and makes a tremendous play to basically end the game as we go in and in the victory formation, and the Bruins finish the game winning 21-17. At this time, let's take a break. Welcome back to Northwest Football. So we ended a week where we defeated Darlington 21-17. Good win for us. We're 4-1 on the year, but we've got to finish the drill. We've got the rest of the year, and we have the region coming up, and this is the most important. We could be 4-1, 5-0, or 0-5, or somewhere in between. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It matters what we do from here on out. You know, we're thankful to have the wins. It's hard. It's difficult, but we take on a Sonorville team here in a couple of weeks that beat us last year. We were up 21-7. We made some mistakes. They played well. They have some good players and ended up coming out on top. And we had some injuries coming out of the game that really we suffered through the rest of the year. So this is a big game for us. We have an off week, as most of the people in our region do, to kind of heal those wounds. And we'll play them in Southeast back-to-back and have another off week, so there will be no show, no game this coming week, and then hopefully we'll return to talk about a win. That'll be the goal for sure, but it's going to be a tough contest. You know, Coach Pate has been there a while, does a great job. His son's the quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in our region, so Defense is physical. Coach Lovingood, who I know, who I've coached with, does a really good job and has a great coaching pedigree and is going to have those guys ready, and we're going to have to come out ready to play. We definitely need a fast start, and we encourage all you guys to come out and support these guys that put in, you as a fan get to see 10, 12, 14 games, whatever it ends up being. You don't realize, unless you have a child in it, how long and how much time goes into those 10, 12, 14 contests that any football team plays. And our guys work really hard and need all the support we can. Hopefully it'll help get us rolling early. It's homecoming, so it'll be a big night for our young ladies that are on the homecoming court and our band and our cheerleaders and the whole school. It's a big moment as we welcome some alumni back as well. So come out and support the Bruins and all the sports here at Northwest, as we have volleyball and softball and cross country in the thick of their seasons. Come out and find somebody and support them. There's a lot of great young people here at Northwest and deserve all the support they can get. Until next week, this is Josh Robinson with Northwest Football.